I'm Jenn Trepeck of Salad with a Side of Fries podcast.
Dave Fallick here with flavors of New York today in the Bronx and Little Italy.
I can't wait to check out all of these favorites. Let's go on. We're here with Mike Teitel at Teitel Brothers. Mike, you guys have been here for a long time. You don't look 100 and something years old. Tell us about the history of Teitel Brothers.
So actually, my father's family, his father and his brothers, migrated from Austria in 1915. They actually were tailors at the time they migrated here, and there was a strong need for a food store in this area. So they decided they went totally against what they were doing as tailors, and they just started here with a small retail store with all of Italian food products. So if you look around, the majority of the things are Italian food products imported from Italy. So they used to sell pepper, black pepper, paprika by the pound. I mean, it was everything with scoops back in the day, you know what I mean? When trolley cars were on Arthur Avenue and the street actually went the other way. So if you could picture, I could show you a picture of what it looked like back in the day. They would have the trolley cars and people would be scooping out by the pound, pasta by the pound, you know, half pounds of pasta and things like that. Everything was done by the pound, you know? So it was not at the scale of this. It was a smaller operation. And there were three brothers. My father's father and his two brothers were the three brothers. The second generation was my father and his two brothers, Benny and Louie. They were here for 50, 60 years. My father's still here. He's been here for like 60 years. He came in the 50s and he's been here. But his older brothers were here before him. So they lived upstairs.
Oh, wow.
So what was funny was they would actually knock on the pipe and the mother would come down to help. So my father was actually born in the apartment upstairs. This was where
what
they...
history
You
this
know,
place has.
talk about history. I mean, lived upstairs, they were not going to come down and help, you know. So everything was generated out of this small store. So they did. So the next thing you know, Louie and Benny were involved in the wholesale industry. So they would go out to restaurants, and the next thing you know, they would have one restaurant account, two restaurants account, and three restaurant accounts. Now they send out five trucks every day, you know. So we do pretty much all the boroughs, from Rhode Island down to Delaware. I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So Michael, I was greeted by the olives on the way in, those buckets out there, the cheeses. Tell us about some of the other things that you sell. What's the most popular item?
I mean, so the most popular items would be our Italian olive oils. We bring olive oil from Tuscany, Lucca, which is one of my favorites. It's fruity and peppery from an area called Lucca, that's Ada. And then we also have a great olive oil from Sicily, from the region of Agrigento. So that's a DOP product, one of our biggest sellers for dipping in solids. You're not going to get a better quality product than that. Parmesan Reggiano is, years ago when the old Italians would come in, everybody would eat Pecorino. In Europe they eat a lot of sheep's milk because that's what they grow up on. So we would sell a lot of Pecorino and very little Parmigiano. But the new generation, they got involved in low fat, low salt. The Parmigiano is sweeter, less fat. So the new generation is eating a lot of Parmigiano. Where years ago we would sell 5 wheels of Pecorino and 1 wheel of Parmigiano. Now we sell 5 wheels of Parmigiano and 1 wheel of Pecorino. So the generations have changed. Yeah. And it's just basically the old Italians still eat Pecorino, but the Americans eat more Parmigiano. But I'm going to let you try the Parmesan Reggiano, which is with 30 month. And I prefer Parmigiano. They make it 2 seasons. They make one that's in the summer, in the spring. They eat grass, and then the cows go inside in the winter and they eat grain. I myself prefer the grass-fed. It's a totally different milk. Makes sense, right? Totally different milk. Yeah. So the flavor is, the crystallization in the Parmigiano is different, and the flavor is different. So I prefer a grass-fed spring, summer type of Parmigiano. 30 months is pretty much at its peak. A year to 2 years is kind of fresh, and over 3.5 years is kind of old. Can't really eat it. So Reggiano Parmigiano at its peak. It's a 30-month. This is a 30-month. Grass-fed, it's creamy, it can be used for eating as well as grating.
All right, here we go. Cheers.
An education in cheese.
Seriously.
Oh man, if you can't go to Italy.
Amazing.
This is, wow.
Cow's milk cheese from the area of Emilia-Romagna. So in Italy, the majority of the animals that they have there are sheep. So most times you go to somebody's house, they're going to have a pecorino on the table. If you go to Calabria, it's called crotonese. If you go to Sardinia, it's called flour of Sardinia. It's a table cheese used. That's what they would call the table cheese. They would have it paired up with like a dry sauce if it was super soft. So this is Pecorino Romano from Rome. There's 3 producers. They produce Locatelli, Fulvi, or Lopez. It's the same cheese, just 3 different producers in the area of Lazio, Rome. So this is a Pecorino Romano, and the Italians actually use it in their meatballs as a salt substitute, or their braciole, or the cooking. In their pesto they would use it as a salt substitute. You'll see it's very salty, so it's more used for a salt additive than it is for eating pecorino because it's pretty salty.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Okay, so that's
you can
strong.
totally taste it.
So, you know what? As you get older, your taste buds, you start to lose your taste buds. So there's a reason why the old Italians love pecorino, is because when they put it on their pasta, it's strong. They want to taste that flavor. And their taste buds are diminishing as they get older, so they taste the pecorino. Whereas the Parmesan, it's kind of like sweet and it's kind of like soft. They want to taste the strong pecorino. That's what the old Italians want. So this is actually a pecorino similar to the Pecorino Romano, but it's from Sardinia. And it's actually infused with truffles. The name of the cheese is Moliterno. They make it with truffles or without. And this has become actually the most popular cheese in the world right now. And when you taste it, you'll understand why. This is a pecorino from Sardinia, once again.
I mean,
infused with truffles. I made a
truffles. You're speaking my language.
So my daughter got engaged, so I did a truffle mashed potato. I was a chef by trade for a lot of years, and I grated it into I made a simple mashed potato with butter, salt, pepper, butter, olive oil, garlic, and I grated it into a mashed potato with a filet mignon. I got to tell you what, it was absolutely off the charts. I mean, there's a lot you can do with this cheese. You can, if it dries, you can grate it, or you can use like a table cheese, like Parmesan. You can eat it or grate it. So if you're going to eat it, you're going to keep it wrapped in saran, and you want to keep it moist. If you're going to grate it, you just let it dry, and then it becomes a grating cheese.
Mike, thank you so much for having us. Not only was this an education, it was the most delicious experience. So thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for being here.
Before your taste buds disappear, Teitel Brothers, Arthur Avenue.
I'm Jenn Trepeck of Salad with a Side of Fries podcast.
Abe Fallick. We'll see you next time.
Who's that guy? You look familiar to you?
Oh, hey! Check that out. Look.
Even got a cookbook.
Look. But be sure to ask for the cookbook.
I can be one. So this is a simple thing. You got people coming on New Year's Eve to your house. Watch how easy this is. You don't have to slave. You don't have to go crazy.
What you need is a knife like that, though.
Yeah. So watch how simple this is. Try this. This is where you infuse 2 different flavors. You take sweet and you take salty and you put them together.
Oh, this is the best moment of the day, I think.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Watch how extraordinary they go when you put the 2 flavors together.
So good.
What time should we be at your house?
I mean,
I know.
look how simple that is. And I mean, it's a very simple thing. You throw it on the table. It takes you 30 seconds to do, and you don't have to do anything more.
Which cheese was that?
This is Italian, what they call in Italy, they call it dolce, Gorgonzola dolce. It's an Italian Gorgonzola, probably the most popular cheese in Italy, believe it or not. Italian Gorgonzola.